You've spent years trying to solve a puzzle that was designed to be impossible. You were looking for a person in a house of mirrors, hoping that if you loved them hard enough, they would finally wake up. But the truth is darker than you thought. What happens when the only thing keeping them grounded in reality finally walks out the door and leaves them behind? It starts with a silence that feels heavier than any scream. For a long time, you were the air they breathed, the validation they needed to feel alive. They fed on your light, consuming your empathy until you were hollow. Now, as you turn away, you aren't just leaving a person, you are effectively pulling the plug on their entire manufactured existence. There's a specific kind of agony that happens when a narcissist realizes the supply has truly dried up. It is not the sadness of a broken heart. It is the primal, terrifying realization that they are finally alone with themselves. That is a reality they have spent a lifetime running from. And today, they are forced to stop running and finally face it. You might think they would grieve. You might think they would reflect on why you had to leave or wonder about the damage they caused. But that would require an internal foundation that simply doesn't exist. Instead, they feel the walls of their carefully constructed reality beginning to crumble. It is a panic that goes deeper than bone. It is total ego death. I want you to understand that this isn't about you being inadequate. It's about you finally becoming too large, too vibrant, and too real to be contained in their tiny, suffocating box. Your departure is the single most disruptive event in their life. It's not just a breakup, it's a total systems failure. And you need to see exactly how this chaos unfolds. Have you ever wondered what's underneath the mask? It's not a hidden, wounded child waiting for your love. It is a void. It is a bottomless, hungry space that requires constant external validation just to maintain the illusion of being human. When you leave, that validation vanishes. And suddenly, they are left looking into the abyss they've avoided. Think back to the moments where you felt like you were disappearing. That wasn't an accident. It was the process of them projecting their emptiness onto you. They needed you to carry their shame, their boredom, and their rage. By taking those things back when you leave, you force them to carry their own weight. And they are completely, utterly terrified. We are going to deconstruct the fall. We aren't here to pity them, and we certainly aren't here to fix them anymore. We are here to witness the truth of what happens when a parasite loses its host. This is a story of liberation, but first, we have to look directly at the wreckage they leave behind when they can no longer hide from their own reflection. You've been trained to feel guilty for surviving, for reclaiming your own life. But that guilt is just another shackle. Tonight we break it. We're going to walk through the stages of their collapse so you can finally stop fearing them and start seeing them for the fragile, terrified shells they truly are. It is time for you to take your power back home. So take a breath. You are safe now. The storm is happening on their side of the fence, not yours. Let's strip away the intimidation, the gaslighting, and the fear. Let's look at what happens when the narcissist hits the floor. It is time to understand the brutal, agonizing reality of their ego death. It is time to finally, truly, walk away for good. To understand the collapse, you must first stop viewing them as an adult. They are a psychological construct. When you are present, you act as their ego stabilizer, mirroring back a version of them that is powerful and grand. You are their mirror. When you leave, that mirror shatters. And the face looking back at them is no longer their favorite. Think of a narcissist as an inverted balloon. They have no internal air, no self-sustaining pressure of their own. They must inflate themselves using the breath of others. When you stop giving them your air, they don't just deflate. They lose the very shape of their identity. They lose the who they have spent their entire life trying to convince us they are. This is the moment of panic. They don't panic because they miss you. They panic because they are dying. In their mind, you are a utility. You are a tool that has stopped working. Without you, the engine of their life grinds to a halt. The internal chaos they have been keeping at bay with your energy begins to flood into their conscious mind. They struggle to find a replacement because they don't know how to exist without a target. They try to manufacture a replacement, but the process is rushed, sloppy, and desperate. You can see the seams tearing apart. They are no longer performing for you. They are performing to keep the darkness of their own reality from swallowing them whole. It is a psychological vertigo. They have spent so long convincing the world of their superiority that they have started to believe it themselves. But when the audience leaves, the stage is just a collection of rotten wood and chipped paint. They are standing on nothing, screaming at the rafters, trying to remember who they are without your reaction. Their rage isn't about you, it's about their own fragility. Every time they lash out, it is a desperate attempt to force the world back into the configuration they need to survive. They are trying to glue the pieces of their ego back together, but the adhesive, your attention, is gone. It is a frantic, clumsy, and ultimately futile attempt to stay upright. You were never the problem. You were just the container for their projections. When you take yourself out of the equation, their projections have nowhere to land. They ricochet back into them, hitting them with the full force of their own repressed shame and inadequacy. It is the most honest moment they will ever experience, and they hate it entirely. Imagine living your entire life behind a mask. You have never been seen, and because you have never been seen, you have never been loved. You only know how to be hunted or to be the hunter. When you leave, you take the game away. They are left in the middle of a forest they don't know how to navigate, without a map and without a weapon to hold. They try to recreate the past. They recycle old scripts, old insults, old seductions. They act as if you are still there, trying to trigger the same responses. But the connection is severed. They are whispering into a dead phone line. They are shouting at a ghost. The harder they try to make the old dynamic work, the more pathetic the display becomes. This is the unraveling. Their mind starts to fracture under the weight of their own hollowness. They don't have the capacity for self-reflection to mend themselves. They only know how to find a new source of energy. But the process of finding that source is exposing them. They are becoming visible, and for a narcissist, being seen is a death sentence. This is where the mask slips. In the early days of your departure, they might act as if they are fine. They perform indifference. They signal to the world that you were the small one, the broken one. But watch closely. Look at the eyes. There is a frantic, hunting look that contradicts the cool, detached exterior they are desperately trying to project. Then comes the devaluation of the past. They have to rewrite history because the current reality is too painful to bear. In their narrative, you were never the victim. You were the villain. You were the one who broke them. It is a necessary lie, a psychological survival mechanism to avoid the crushing weight of their own accountability. Watch the desperation in their movements. They are no longer acting, they are reacting. They reach out not to connect, but to claw. They send the bait, the texts, the sudden displays of vulnerability. It feels like a return to the love-bombing phase, but if you look at the energy behind it, it's cold. It is a hunger that isn't satisfied by anything. You see them trying on different identities. They shift from rage to victimhood to false benevolence in the span of an hour. It's like watching a failing computer cycle through error screens. They don't know who to be because there is no center. There is no core personality. There is only the chameleon, desperately trying to change color to fit a room. And then comes the smear campaign. It is the most transparent part of their decline. They need to turn the public against you because if the public sees you as the hero, then they are revealed as the villain. They need you to be small so they can feel big again. It is a pathetic attempt to regain control over a reality that is slipping away. You are watching a house burn down from a distance. The flames are the projections, the lies, and the theatrics. You are finally outside of the fence. You can see the silhouette of the person you once thought you knew, but they are just a shadow. The person you loved was a mirror reflection you created. They never actually existed in the way you hoped. The shift is subtle, then absolute. There is a moment when they realize that none of it is working. The old tricks are failing. You are not responding to the bait. The silence from your side is the most powerful weapon you could ever use. It is a vacuum that pulls all of their lies back into their own mouth. It is the beginning of their end. They start to spiral. The behavior becomes erratic. They make mistakes they wouldn't have made before. They lose their temper in public. They expose their true face to people who previously thought they were a saint. It is the ego death manifesting in real time. They can no longer maintain the illusion of the functional adult. It is all falling away. You feel a strange sense of calm. You realize that you were never the one who was powerless. You had the power the whole time. The power of truth, the power of autonomy, the power of reality. As they collapse, you rise. You aren't watching a monster destroy you. You are watching a monster destroy itself because it can no longer stand the light. This is the turning point for you too. You stop being the victim and start being the witness. You stop trying to fix the fire and start walking away from the ashes. You are choosing your life over their death. It is the most courageous thing you have ever done. And as you walk, you feel the weight of their shadows finally lift off your shoulders. Now the darkness sets in. The narcissist is alone in the room with the truth, and they are terrified. There is no one left to blame. No one left to absorb their shame. No one left to validate their twisted version of the world. The silence is deafening. For the first time, they have to face the fact that they are empty. And it is agony. They lash out at the world, but the world doesn't care. They try to find new supplies, but the process is grinding and slow. The sparkle is gone. They are tired. They are aging. They are realizing that the game has changed and they are losing. The desperation is no longer hidden. It is etched into their features like a permanent, ugly mask. You see the consequences of their life choices piling up. The bridges burned, the friends alienated, the legacy of lies. It all comes back to collect the debt. They have spent their life borrowing against their own integrity, and now the account is overdrawn. They have nowhere left to run. They are forced to live in the reality they created for others. They try to manufacture a crisis to get your attention. A health scare, a legal issue, a dramatic personal tragedy. Anything to get you to look back, to engage, to be the mirror again. But you know the script. You have seen this act 1,000 times. You don't take the bait. You let them sit in their self-inflicted drama, and you keep walking. The collapse isn't a singular event. It is a slow, agonizing decay. It is the loss of the status they craved, the loss of the control they needed, and the loss of the respect they never earned. They become a caricature of themselves. The things that used to be charming or intense are now just sad, tired, and remarkably transparent. You realize that their greatness was just a projection of your own untapped potential. They were living off the interest of your empathy. Now that the bank is closed, they are bankrupt. They are a shell of a person, and you see them clearly for the first time. There is no mystery, no depth, no hidden treasure. Just a lonely, hollow person. This is the ugly truth of their existence. It is not a tragedy, it is a choice they made every single day. To prioritize the ego over the soul. To prioritize the mask over the person. To prioritize the game over the life. The collapse is the natural result of a life built on sand. And you were never going to be the foundation that saved them. Some might feel pity, and that is a testament to your own goodness. But keep that pity for yourself. You are the one who had to survive this. You are the one who had to rebuild from the ground up. You don't owe them a single thought, a single worry, or a single shred of your energy. They are in the place they built for themselves. Let them stay there. The most brutal part of their reality is the realization that they are forgotten. That the people they manipulated have moved on. That their influence has evaporated. That the world didn't stop turning when they fell. That is the ultimate ego death for a narcissist. To realize that they are completely, utterly, and devastatingly irrelevant to you. And finally, they stop. The thrashing ends. They are left in the wreckage of their own making, unable to understand why it happened, unable to learn, and unable to change. It is a bleak, sterile, and lonely end. It is the natural conclusion to the life of a narcissist who has lost their empath. It is the empty room and the silence that follows. You are standing on the other side of the fire, and the air smells like rain and new growth. The smoke has cleared. The noise has stopped. For the first time in a long time, you can hear yourself think. And what you hear is not the voice of a victim, but the steady, rhythmic heartbeat of a person who has reclaimed their own life, their own truth. Healing is not a destination. It is a practice. It is the act of choosing yourself every single day, even when the ghosts of the past try to whisper in your ear. It is the process of learning to trust your own eyes again. It is the slow, steady work of filling your own void with your own light, your own passions, and your own authentic, beautiful self. You were not destroyed. You were forged. The fire that was meant to consume you was actually the catalyst for your evolution. You learned things in that relationship that most people never have to learn. You learned the value of boundaries, the necessity of truth, and the incredible, unbreakable power of your own spirit. You are not the same. You are stronger. You are wiser. You are deeper. You have seen the darkness, and you have survived it. You have looked at the abyss, and you didn't blink. That is your superpower now. You can navigate the world with eyes wide open, seeing through the masks, the games, and the manipulation. You are immune to the ghosts of the past. The ego death of the narcissist is their tragedy. Your awakening is your triumph. Don't waste another second wondering if they regret it. Don't waste another moment hoping they change. They are who they are, and you are who you have become. And the difference between those two realities is a chasm that cannot be bridged. Let it stay wide. Find joy in the small things. The quiet mornings. The people who love you without conditions. The work that fuels your soul. The hobbies that make you feel alive. These things are the antidotes to the poison you were fed. They are the building blocks of a new, authentic life. A life that is yours, completely and entirely, without any compromise at all. When you think of them, let it be with the clarity of a scientist observing a distant, dead star. There is no heat. There is no light. There is only the memory of what once was, and the relief that it is no longer your reality. You don't need to forgive them, and you don't need to hold on to the hate. You just need to let them go into the past. You have a future to build. You have dreams to pursue. You have a heart that is capable of real love, not the counterfeit version you were sold. Protect that heart. Keep it safe. Keep it for the people who deserve it. Keep it for the version of yourself that is still waiting to be discovered. The best chapters of your life are happening right now. Look in the mirror. See the person who stood up, who walked away, who survived. See the strength, the resilience, and the beauty that was there all along. You were never the problem. You were the treasure. And now, you are finally free to shine in a world that needs the light you have to give. You have arrived. You are home. You are finally, truly. The narcissist only ever existed in the shadow of your light, so when you finally walk away, you take the only thing that ever made them real.